Hi, everyone. Welcome to our second session of the LUDIA webinar. Just a reminder, we will be recording these sessions so that we can post on our website for anyone who's unable to attend. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Today, our session 2 is going to be focused on the foundational overview of LUDIA. We have our tiny URL and our QR code, which will take you to our home base document, where you'll find access to our slide deck and also all of the resources that we're talking about today. My name is Emily Desjardins. I am one of the UDL AT content leads with Open Access. And with me today is the wonderful Fred Cochran, who is the UDL coordinator for the San Joaquin County Office of Education. This webinar series is brought to you by Open Access, Desired Results Access Project, and Cal Bloom. You can find more information about who we all are by visiting our websites, which are linked on the home base. But all three of our projects are part of the California statewide system of supports, and we provide resources and supports to school districts, county offices, and SELPAs across the state of California. So again, follow our website or find those links to our website and you can learn more about who we are. So today is our second session within our LUDIA webinar series. Our first session really focused on those foundational concepts of universal design for learning. And today we're going to be diving into a foundational overview of LUDIA. And then in our next two sessions, we'll be using LUDIA to analyze DRDP reports and then also to support lesson design as well. So make sure you come back for those next two sessions as well. In our first session, we gave you a little overview of who Open Access was, and today we're going to share a little bit about who the Desired Results Access Project is. So DRA is part of the California Department of Education's Early Childhood Special Education statewide system of support. DRA supports special educators, administrators, and families in implementing the Desired Results Developmental Profile, or the DRDP. So if you are interested in learning more, feel free to check out the DRA website, which is again linked on the home base document. You can subscribe to communications from DRA, get support, share your feedback, and they are there to support all of your needs. Open Access would like to share our accessibility promise. And really that is trying to model UDL in everything that we do, but we really try to make our slide deck as accessible as possible. So some of the things you might notice today are some simple backgrounds with high contrast text, really making sure that you have access to all of our materials with those tiny URLs and QR code. All of our images have alt text to support screen readers, and then we really do our best to try to make things as interactive with multiple examples, non-examples, and then also the participation and feedback. So feel free to interact today in a way that works best for you. Feel free to unmute or share in the chat. We love those reactions, whatever is going to be the most engaging for you today. So our hopeful outcomes from this session are really that participants will hopefully be able to recall those key UDL concepts from our previous session, to be able to discover those UDL principles in a preschool classroom example. So we'll watch another UDL in action video. That was a big hit in our first session. And then hopefully you will also be able to explain what LUDIA is and how it can support UDL implementation, and then explore how LUDIA can be used in lesson planning. So another way of looking at our session path is also, we're going to start with a little quick review of UDL from our last session. We're going to dive into what is LUDIA. We'll do a live LUDIA demonstration and then share some resources for you to explore. So we always like to start with a little inclusive welcome, and today we're going to sort of practice what we preach when it comes to UDL. We know that really taking a minute to activate prior knowledge with learners is a really great way to keep
everyone engaged, but also to help our brains activated. And I like to think of it as we have little folders in our brains. And when we take a few minutes to activate prior knowledge with our learners, it helps our brains know which file information is about to be loaded into. And it kind of removes some of that cognitive load of having to figure out, like, okay, wait, what is this? Have I heard this before? Do I know this information? And so this is a strategy we can use with any age, any stage learners at all, but just taking a couple minutes to activate that prior knowledge is a real bang for your buck strategy. So if we were in person, we would be doing a little mix and mingle right now, but we're going to do a virtual edition in the chat. And for those of you who were at our last session, I would love for you to really think about these sentence starters and think about maybe one thing you remember of a piece of content from our last session, maybe one thing you tried from our last session, or one thing you're hoping for today. So you're welcome to do all three of those or just pick one, whatever works. Because we can't mix and mingle in person, I'm going to have you take a minute and think about your answer, write it in the chat, and then I would love for you to find someone in the chat that maybe is a match of yours and go twinsies, samesies, or someone that you agree with or connect with, and then maybe another one that you hadn't thought of and that you like, oh, that's a cool idea. I hadn't thought about that, but that's awesome. So in the chat, or take a couple minutes first, and then whenever you're ready, maybe think about something you remember, something you've tried, and or something you're hoping for today. And Anna, that's a great question. If you want to send us an email, I'm sure we can find a little certificate of completion. We could make a certificate of completion for you if you want to just send us a little message. Oh, okay. This is a good one to know. Rebecca's excited to learn about LUDIA, but FYI, it is blocked on her firewall. Okay. That is definitely a barrier, and I apologize. I actually, that is one of the reasons for the tech issue on my end today, is I'm at a school site where it is blocked, and so we're trying to combat that. So I definitely understand. It is most certainly worth a tech ticket, and many tech departments will approve it once they do a little investigation. So I definitely would encourage you to problem solve that a little bit if this is a tool that you would like to use. Mei Ling says, this is my first session, and after today, hoping to have a better understanding of LUDIA. Welcome. Okay, good to know. I see a couple of people might have possibly missed last session, totally understand, and that's why we'll do a quick little review of UDL. Okay, lovely. So, um, excellent. Okay. Well, thank you guys for participating in that. Oh, we got another one too. I'm hoping to bring ideas from today's session back to my classroom and school. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for participating in our little inclusive welcome. If things come up as we're talking, feel free to ask questions in the chat. Feel free to, react. If you have questions, feel free to raise your hand and you can unmute and ask those as well. So we encourage you to engage in a way that works best for you. So kind of as we want to do a little reminder of in our last session, we really talked about these foundational concepts within universal design for learning. And so just as a quick review, particularly for anyone who wasn't there, but also a reminder for those of you who were there. Two of the major foundational concepts within UDL are this idea of variability and barriers. So when it comes to variability, one of the things that we know from modern neuroscience is that all of us have completely unique brain connections, and these are formed by both genetics and also our lived experiences. And because of that, there is no one way that a human learns. There's absolutely no average learner. We just all have these unique ways of interacting with the world. And as we know, our school system is not necessarily designed with that in mind, but we as educators can do a lot with that as well. Like if us knowing that can do a lot. And so the second part is really thinking about this idea of barriers. And barriers exist in our learning environment, but not within our students, right? Our students and their unique variabilities are not anything that's wrong. They're just who they are, right? And so if we as educators can focus on finding ways to remove barriers, we can help increase access for our learners. And so the UDL guidelines is really connected to this neuroscience of how human beings learn best. And just the quickest summary of the neuroscience is that really we know that all humans, for us to learn, we need to be engaged, we need to be able to perceive, and we need to be able to show our understanding, right? And that sounds very simple, right? Of course, we need to be engaged, of course, we need to perceive, and of course, we need to demonstrate our understanding. But knowing that we all learn in these unique ways, it means that as educators, one of the ways we can really support our learners is by really designing multiple ways for our learners to engage, perceive, and show their understanding. And the UDL framework really offers some very specific examples of how we as educators can do that. The other part of the neuroscience that's really important is that learning is very emotional work. And we know that both emotion and attention really determine which information our brains process and which neural connections are strengthened. And so that engagement piece is very, very important. We talked about this idea of barriers existing within our learning environment and the educator's role being to really address those barriers, right? And so one strategy we can use to remove those barriers is a concept of firm goals and flexible means. And we talked about this in our last session, and today we're going to do a little firm goals, flexible means example utilizing the DRDP. So we know we've got these DRDP measures, but what's really important to remember is that this DRDP measure itself is actually the firm goal. The goal is not actually the activity, the worksheet, the center, the circle time format, or whatever the means is we're using to assess this. And so that goal is really that developmental construct that's described in the DRDP measure. So I'm going to show you a little example here. If we're looking at this, the SED4, relationships and social interactions with peers. So our firm goal here would be children demonstrate competence and cooperation while interacting with peers. So one thing that can often happen in our early childhood settings is maybe we unintentionally treat that activity as the goal. So, for example, maybe they have to participate in the circle time discussion in order for us to assess that. They need to share during block centers. They need to use their words. Maybe they must take turns during the board game. But those are a variety of means to assess that, not necessarily the goal. So, if we were really helping them kind of demonstrate knowledge with those flexible means, maybe children might demonstrate peer interaction by building together with blocks, maybe some parallel play that evolves into that shared play. Maybe they're using picture cards to request materials. Maybe they're signing or using AAC. Maybe they're inviting a peer into some dramatic play. Maybe they're doing cooperative outdoor play. Maybe they have one-on-one peer interaction rather than whole group. So lots of different, I'm going to show you some more examples in a minute, but the idea with this is really thinking about what is it that I'm really looking for my students to do? And is there a barrier that's getting in the way? So for example, if we're looking at this last one and we're really thinking about like, oh, if I want to see whether a student can demonstrate competence and cooperation with peers, and it has to happen during circle time, we might have a little bit of social anxiety for students in a really big group, or maybe the limiting factor is expressive communication is not it is an area of need for that student, right? And so if we can think about a variety of ways for allowing our students to demonstrate their knowledge, that we can kind of remove that barrier for them and think about a way that might work best for them. So I'm going to pass this on to Fred to talk a little bit more about that firm goals,
Right.
flexible means.
Yeah, it's kind of like rethinking and to think differently about the goal. You know, there are different pathways to get to the goal. We honor different strengths that our students have. So, considering that, we look at the next slide. Sorry, there we go. Oh no, we got one slide. There we go. So keeping this in mind when you're utilizing firm goals, create that firm goal, consider the barriers, introduce a choice that might remove a barrier, and repeat as needed. So we're going to get to see UDL in action. And this is exciting, I think, for us to be able to actually watch a preschool and to see the children interacting. Last week we showed you a kindergarten class. So this week we're showing you the preschool. So hang tight. I think you're going to really enjoy today's video.
Small, big. Which one should we make next? Small? Yes, the rolling pin.
There is so much involved in teaching, and I love coming into the classroom every day, not knowing what's going to happen actually.
Make a ball. Make a ball. Squish it.
And also learning from the children. I take every day as an opportunity to learn from them as well as they're learning from us.
So now we have the big, small, big, small. You're making a pattern, Aggie.
And setting up the environment for them to be capable of learning.
What color are your eyes? Blue. Are these eyes blue?
I believe every child is capable of learning if they're offered the right opportunities.
Take a look. You want to try make it bigger? Yeah, okay. Let's try to make it bigger.
We make sure we provide learning opportunities where we have goals in place.
Tell Desiree, what's your plan?
How many? Oh, this is Arena. What number did you get? 3. How many germs are you gonna get? We provide learning in a play-based environment. So everything, there's an intention behind it.
What picture are you gonna make?
A rainbow.
You're gonna make a rainbow. That is exciting.
We always have an art area set up for children to freely create art and Play-Doh, a lot of the hands-on experiences.
Teacher, I made hot chocolate. Loud, loud, louder, louder.
And for our gathering or circle time, we always make sure it's pretty short. Because children at this age, their attention span is not very long, and always include some kind of a movement and music. And a lot of repetition because they are only 3 and 4, so we want to make sure we keep them engaged. We design everything in our classroom with children in mind.
How many legs does everybody on your planet have?
2.
And how about your body? Is your body a rectangle like mine?
No, my body has a square.
Everything is designed to be mind-provoking, and we're very flexible as well. I think that's kind of a number one thing we have to be as teachers, especially at this age.
Boys and girls, I got a book for you.
I'm going to put on my special glasses today.
Ooh. That's so big.
Everything looks blue today. Today, I had, even during our gathering time, I had like 5 backup plans just in case things don't go the right way, because you never know what you're gonna get. Some days they're into it, some days they want to dance, and then we have a dance party.
Yay! Knuckles. Okay, 4 more to go.
We always want to make sure we kind of consider all children individually.
We had 6 and take one away. How many?
So today, I know we have in our classroom, we have like a little pizzeria set up. So I saw a lot of children were really interested in that area, but it is pretty new. So there was a lot of conflict going on.
No, not that. That's not for you, don't do.
Yeah. You have this one. Which one are you going to use, Joe?
But I see that the children are using their words, which we've been teaching them. And I was looking at some of them, listening to them, using the language that we always provide them with.
Teacher, I get that first.
You got that first. So what could you tell Augie?
Use your words instead. If you're upset, use your words. Go back and look at our expectations. Be safe, be kind, be respectful.
Look at this, Augie. Look what she found for you. What could you tell her? Sometimes friends say thank you if they find things for you. That's so nice.
And when I hear children using that kind of a language in our classroom, that's what I really know, okay, we're doing our job. We are teaching them, giving them the tools.
Make my goggles. I see orange and blue.
I think we're always trying to obviously do better and come up with new stuff, and this environment is ever changing. If children are not interested in an area, we always redesign it and put out new materials.
You want to build something else?
Everyone's going to get a turn. We never forget anyone, right? Don't do.
I think like relationships is the base on all of this, and like you mentioned, a trust. Having relationship with the children.
We're going to do it together. Okay.
With the parents and families, and also with the co-workers. It's, I think, very crucial to running a successful program, because it is all about just loving each other as a human beings and being kind to each other. And once the children do develop that trust, then you can just see the learning just kind of takes off.
Look at you. And what do you have here? You have some freckles. Look.
I believe it helps us with trying to remove the barriers in our classroom.
Which one is this one?
The excavator. You're the biggest sound.
Oh, they dig?
Making it more adaptable to all children, all learners.
How many shells have you found already?
We're just trying to serve and provide for all children that come to our classroom.
Hey. Wow. That was, I love that video. It made me think about the environment there. I mean, I wanted to see the dance party. I was hoping that we were going to get a glimpse of the dance party, but no. But we'd like to know, what did you notice? So some of the things that we'd like to point out that was proactive, and there was a lot of intentional planning. Learner variability was considered in the design of the lessons, and really thinking about what barriers could be in the way of students reaching the goals or the activities that they're doing, keeping those goals firm, but flexible means to get to those. And you can see learner agency happening right in front of us, right? You could see kids interacting. There was trust in the room. There was love in that room. That was just the things that resonated with me. But we'd love to, do we have time to put a few things in the chat? Anything that you noticed? And then we'll be transitioning, and I'll tell you where we're going to go next. So feel free to one-on-one interaction. Yes, absolutely. And a variety of stations. And if something didn't work, they just changed it. They were so amazing. I noticed an incredible environment for students to learn through doing. The real understanding that small children just cannot sit and receive for a very long time. She mentioned that, attention spans, they were honoring that. It was developmentally appropriate. Teachers allow time for children to respond. Yeah. The relationships. Yes. And being at the child's level. Great. Good. Love it. Okay. So now we're going to take this concept of UDL and introduce a tool that can help with implementation planning and organization for you. So I'm going to turn this over to Emily. You're going to have a treat here to watch this demonstration.
Thank you. So we are really excited to introduce LUDIA, which is an AI-powered chatbot that is 100% trained in UDL. So this is a completely free resource. We're going to provide some tips and tricks, and then I'm going to show you a little demo. But I would love to hear how many people are already using some sort of AI for lesson planning, or maybe even in your own personal life as well. Maybe drop it in the chat if you're already using some sort of AI. Love to hear. Awesome. Got some ChatGPT lovers, EdAid, love it. Yes. And you know what? It's one of those things where lots of ChatGPT, love it. And that is great. And honestly, ChatGPT can do so many fabulous things. And one of the things I've also noticed is it actually works really well in tandem with LUDIA as well. So I'm going to kind of show some examples of how, just some general tips and tricks, and then I will do a demonstration. But I will call out some of the tech issues we've been having, so hopefully we'll get that figured out as well. So kind of like with any AI, the more details that you provide, the more personalized your support is going to be. So being specific, not only about what it is you're looking for, but also what resources you have. Sometimes I find, and I'm sure you've seen this in ChatGPT as well, when you're looking for cool ideas, it'll be things like, all of a sudden, you could record a podcast, or you could have students record commercials for each other. And I'm like, ooh, we don't have any recording equipment. We've got construction paper, glue, and scissors. What can we do with that? And when you provide that information, you get really great answers. But being clear about what resources you have if you don't like an idea is also great. And again, giving that feedback. If you don't get something you're expecting, or that's not actually what you're looking for, tell it. That's really important. Along with that, being specific, we just have to call this out, right? Please do refrain from entering any student information. We really want to make sure we're ensuring that student privacy, right? And we're making sure there is a really cool feature where you can upload PDFs, and that's excellent. But please, if it includes any student information, just make sure you redact that as well. Quick examples and non-examples, we can be specific by saying things like, I'm a preschool teacher and I have a student struggling with expressive communication, blah, blah, blah. But we do not want to say, I have a 3-year-old student named Lila Blue, right? So just calling that out. I know we know that, but got to make sure we say it out loud as well. So the idea of LUDIA is, and again, the name comes from UDL plus AI, and then they move those letters around. The idea is that LUDIA is a conversational chatbot that's really focused around universal design for learning implementation. It is trained in the latest UDL framework, and no matter how you ask a question, it's always going to bring its answer back to learner variability, barriers those learners might face, and it's going to help you problem solve strategies and very much connect them to the guidelines itself. So it does create things like other AI tools. I've seen people creating choice boards and rubrics and things like that with ChatGPT, or maybe with Gemini or other chatbots. It 100% can do that, but everything is going to be very UDL focused. And so I've also seen, it can be used alongside other AI tools as well. So this is a great way to brainstorm ideas, and then you can ask it to create something. And if you want it slightly different, you can always go back and forth, but you could also ask ChatGPT to create that thing. So it's definitely something that can be used in tandem with other things. So I just have a few examples that I want to share of things that I have seen teachers use. Oh, and Fred says LUDIA also means play in Greek. I love that. I forgot about that part. Thank you, LUDIA. Thank you, LUDIA. Thank you, Fred. And LUDIA. So a few things that I've used this for. So LUDIA has helped teachers create self-assessment rubrics for young learners. Actually, this is from a middle school teacher who was trying to logistically figure out centers, and it helped her come up with a center rotation plan. She was looking for specific centers around a book, Red Scarf Girl, in her middle school classroom, and it came up with so many great ideas for her. This is a choice board for a 3rd grade lesson goal. So again, it does create things, absolutely. This is a checklist rubric to go along with that butterfly choice board, a holistic rubric that could also go through that butterfly life cycle project. And so this is just, I know that you might not be creating rubrics in the same way in early childhood, but just to show you an example of what it can do. And then finally, I want to highlight that you absolutely can upload PDFs or links to articles. And I actually was just working with a teacher who saw an article about a middle school science class doing something really cool. And she's like, I wonder if I uploaded this into LUDIA, if it would help me do this for a kindergarten class. And I was like, well, that's a cool idea. And so she did and kind of did some brainstorming with it. So this is a wonderful feature as well. Okay, so we are going to do a little live LUDIA demonstration, and I'm going to start by just kind of showing you some examples of, I would love to play around with this idea of firm goals, flexible means, utilizing DRDP goals. And so I would love to hear in the chat if there is a specific firm goal that you would love to see in a chat situation. So I'm going to kind of ask you to vote here. Our options are: children demonstrate competence and cooperation when interacting with peers, or children engage in back and forth communication with adults and peers, or children remember and apply knowledge from prior experiences to new situations, or children demonstrate the ability to regulate their attention, emotions, and behavior. And then number 5 is children show understanding and concern for the feelings of others. So I'm going to have you guys take a minute and vote in the chat. I am going to problem solve some tech issues. I am at a school site. This particular school site does not allow, does not provide access to LUDIA. And so what I'm going to be doing right now is switching over my internet to be my hotspot, which was the glitchy thing that knocked me off of the first point. So we're going to be really hopeful right now. And I'm just going to call out all the tech issues as we're going here. So I'm going to switch over. I'm seeing a lot of 4s and 5s. Let's see. Oh, number 4. Oh, that's confusing, huh? Because I see 4s and LL4. All right, I'm going to switch over my internet. Fred, can you be in charge of telling me who wins the vote while I'm switching? And if I hop off, I promise I'll be back. Or let's hope I'm back.
Yes. Okay. 5s. Let's see. More. How are we doing?
Okay, I think that worked. I believe I'm connected now, so that's exciting. Woohoo! Okay.
At SCD4,
so let's see. What is our
I think
SED4?
I think that's one of the popular.
Love it.
That came up popular. There are a lot of them. You know, they'd like to see all of them.
Okay.
Just do them all.
We'll probably have time for more than one, which will be great. Okay, so I preloaded this baby with, I am a preschool teacher just learning about UDL and the concept of firm goals, flexible means. I'd love to use the DRDP measures to create a firm goal and brainstorm some ways that I might create some flexible means for my students to practice this and for me to assess them. Some barriers my learners face are blank and my firm goal is. So I'm going to paste in our firm goal that we just talked about. I would love to hear in the chat, you know, students engage in positive reciprocal interactions with peers. Oh, we did change that. Whoopsies. Sorry. We changed it too. Children demonstrate, oh boy. Well, we'll call it that for now. But I would love to hear what barriers your learners might face when it comes to having those competence, cooperative relationships with peers. What are we noticing? Maybe some barriers are students are struggling to keep hands to themselves, or students are feeling frustrated when they can't communicate their needs, or anything like that. Oh, language. I love it. Okay. Some barriers my learners face are expressive language. Love it. Okay. So now I'm gonna, oops, sorry. Let's see what she comes up with. And please, you know, please feel free to respond in the chat or ask any questions at all. So I will say LUDIA is a little wordier than ChatGPT. However, in the past, if I'm like in a hurry and I'm like, sister, I need you to hurry a little better, I've told her I keep saying her, sorry, they, LUDIA sounds a lot like Lydia, sorry. I have told LUDIA before, hey, can you make this a little more visually appealing? So you can do that as well. Okay, so thank you for sharing your firm goal of fostering positive interactions among preschoolers. It's important to recognize that barriers like expressive language can impact how learners engage with each other. So there's some specific ways to reduce those barriers. Using those multiple media for communication. So incorporate visual supports, emotion cards, pictorial storytelling tools to help students express themselves. If a child wants to share how they feel about a game, they can select an emotion card. Okay, that's a great suggestion. And you see it's connected to the UDL guidelines and specific considerations. So optimizing access to varied instructional methods is probably going to help with engagement for this as well. So some examples include setting up centers with varied materials. And then it connects again to this nurturing joy and play. We love that one. So designing activities that blend music and movement to foster that interaction. So it's going to give a lot of different examples. And then it also provides a few ideas for assessment options. And then it's always going to ask you a question. So which of these do you want to explore more? Do you have any specific activities or environments in mind you'd like to adapt? And guys, this is the point where feel free to unmute, add to the chat. If you're like, hey, I got this specific thing in my environment that I want to do, I am happy to answer that. I'm happy to put that in there and we can enroll with it. It's also always going to give you some examples of tell me more about using visual supports for expression. How can I adapt role-playing center ideas? Or let's discuss the visual progress charts further. So you can use one that they have created, or you can use your own. So I'm going to dive into visual supports unless somebody has something else they want to share. Again, please feel free to add to the chat or unmute yourself if there's something specific you would like to see. So it's going to explain emotion cards, visual schedules, story sequencing cards, peer interaction prompts, communication boards, role playing with visual supports, and then some implementation tips. So I'm going to pick just one of these. I'm going to do peer interaction prompts because that's always lovely. I'm going to say, I would love to implement peer interaction prompts. Can you please create an age-appropriate lesson for 3-year-old children with specific examples and role playing that allows them to trial this in a group before they are trying it on their own. Okay. So let's play together. It's created this nice little lesson plan. There's a clear learning goal, assessment options. Okay, already I'm looking at this and going introduction 10 minutes. Nope, we're going to need to reduce this. There's no way my 3-year-olds are sitting for 10 minutes and we're not modeling for 15 minutes. So you can absolutely respond to it and say like, hey, I want this to be a total of 10 minutes. Help me through this. Or just take this and make it your own as well. So it's going to introduce some prompts here. You're going to model the role play, and it's going to have some guided role play activity. And it does provide materials and things like that. So again, I would like the entire lesson to be a total of 7 minutes because they are 3 years old and because they're 3 years old. Okay, we're gonna keep that simple. And so it will change it and do that as well. So I'm realizing now as we're going through this, we kind of veered from that firm goals, flexible means. So that's the problem with the live demonstration is you kind of end up going different ways here. So again, it can do really great things like these lessons. So I'm going to bring that back to the firm goals, flexible means. Can you provide 3 ways that my learners, could practice this? And it will come up with different strategies, things like that. So there's so many wonderful things that we can do with LUDIA. There's so many ways that we can remove barriers for our learners. If there is something that is not connected to the DRDP or firm goals flexible means that you are very interested in seeing this play out with, please let me know, and I'm happy to type that in as well. So it's giving some play-based scenarios, role-playing with puppets, interactive story time, and then again, it's going to provide some opportunity for you to respond to that as well. So I would love to hear if there's anything specific you would like me to take this and change or move, or maybe we try another DRDP goal and remove some barriers with that as well. I am seeing some SED6. Let's try that. Ooh, empathy. That's a good one. Can you help me create some flexible means for the firm goal? Children show understanding and concern for the feelings of others for my 3-year-old students. Emotion regulation activities, story time with a focus on emotions, role playing with scenarios, and then some assessment options as well. So it does remember that in the very beginning I said, and some options for assessment as well. It's going to always bring it back to what it knows from your previous conversations as well. So is there any of these that we'd like to learn more about? Let me know in the chat or unmute. Oh, yes, great question. Would it be able to cite specific curriculum such as creative curriculum? It knows, I will make sure, let's do it now. Can you connect these to creative curriculum? Certainly. So the creative curriculum emphasizes teaching social emotional skills through authentic experiences. Awesome. So it will. So, and then it always ends with question again, because it's always looking for that back and forth. Would you like to explore the specific implementation strategies for any of these activities within your creative curriculum framework? I'm here to help. Yes, let's do it. Is there one of these you would like to do, or anything we want to connect with, maybe a different one? I can just pick one. It's okay. Let's explore, oops, role-playing activities. All right, we're going to choose role-playing activities. Taking a minute to load, but she'll get there. They will get there. So setting the scene, they're going to provide, it says choose relatable situations where acts of kindness might occur. Some examples, sharing toys during playtime, helping a friend who's feeling sad, taking turns, and then again, that use of visuals, modeling kindness. And then, of course, introducing those prompts and things, small group role play, dividing the class, rotate roles, support and facilitate, and then that discussion and reflection. And so this is one of those situations, if you want it to go deeper into something, this is when you kind of follow up with like, okay, now I really want to know how to X, Y, and Z. Okay, so now it's going to ask again, would you like to dive deeper into specific scenarios or perhaps create additional prompts to use during the role play? I'm here to help. So you could do that as well. And then again, some other prompts down here provide examples of specific kindness scenarios for toddlers. Ooh, I like that. We're going to do that. Love a kindness scenario. So sharing toys, helping out a friend, taking turns, inviting someone to play, complimenting peers, sharing a snack, all these great things. So you can do so many great things. And as we talked about before, like you can upload anything. So like you could upload a specific lesson plan. You can add a link to any kind of article. Actually, that is ready to go. Oops, I have this open. Okay. So I thought this was a pretty cool article. This one is an Edtopia article combining project-based learning and play in early childhood. You could add this link here and say, I just read this awesome article. Can you help me connect this activity with play-based learning and play? I mean, that's easy. That will automatically connect, but you can do all kinds of fun things with uploading articles if you want to ask it for assistance as well. So I'd love to hear if there are specific questions about things maybe LUDIA can do, LUDIA can't do, anything you would like me to demonstrate. I am available. And so it does provide some opportunities here, kind of really thinking about that play as foundation for learning, guiding play, enhanced learning, and then some practical implementation ideas. And again, it is ending with a question. Would you like to discuss specific project ideas or further explore how to implement these strategies in your classroom? And you can kind of go from there. What questions do we have? Okay. Oh, go back here. Could you demonstrate ideas on how to incorporate students who have mobility and cognitive during outdoor play, like delays? I love that. Okay. I am going to copy that. Okay. I'm going to give some ideas on how I would support my students who have cognitive. Oh. Okay. Can you give ideas on how I would support my students who have cognitive and mobility needs during outdoor play? Let's see. Certainly, supporting students with cognitive and mobility challenges during outdoor play is essential for fostering an inclusive environment. So it talks about adapt the play equipment, accessible equipment, adjust play areas. And this is where the idea of removing barriers is going to come maybe more literally into play, is really kind of thinking about those pathways and layouts of where students are navigating and what they need. Offer varied play options, use assistive technologies and tools, encourage peer interaction and empathy, foster a sense of belonging, facilitate emotional and social skills development. Is there any one of these that you want to maybe learn more about and we can ask it to expand or dive deeper into? Go back up to the top so we can see. And I'm sure many of these things are already happening, you're already doing. And so maybe there's a particular area maybe where you've tried a couple things and it's maybe not working. That might be one we want to dive in, like low tech. Okay. I'm looking for low tech tools and options. So it's going to take the technology out, but still kind of provide some of those same ideas. So things like modified balls, adaptive swing, low tech, but not low cost. Visual and tactile tools, the sensory bins, color-coded play areas, building in peer support tools, having a buddy system, play prompts. And I love this idea of peer support. as well, because sometimes that learner agency is so important for our peers as well to know how to interact with each other, how to learn interact with others, and both peers need to be able to have solid conversational sentence frames and supports and things. Modified games and activities, mobility aids, rolling carts or wagons, or sturdy grips. And then, of course, that inclusive communication with visual schedules and emotion cards. So just a little example of what you could do with LUDIA. But again, this is one of those things that really, you definitely need to play around with it on your own. But again, the more specific you can be about your specific environment, your own student needs, without their information, of course, but student needs, your environment, what you have access to, maybe things you've already tried, things like that. And so, leave. I'm trying to keep an eye on time as well. But I think at this point, I'm going to pass it back to Fred and have him kind of dive into some exploration resources and tools.
Great, thank you. I meant to send that a message directly to you, Emily, but I was thinking also it's really great that you can share the results you get.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really great. You can share it with each other, and that way you have a way to kind of collaborate together on something. So that makes it really, I think, great, a great value.
That is a great point. And I think I did forget to mention that you can send your whole chat link to somebody like your teacher partner, like, hey, look at this great activity that LUDIA helped me create. And you can share the whole chat with them. Thank you for reminding me of that, Fred.
Oh, no worries. No. So now we're at the point here. You can see the bicycle's getting towards the end of the path here. And now it's time to look at some resources that you can explore. So when you want to get to this point where you're going to dig in deeper into LUDIA, there is great resources here that we want to share with you, something to read, something to listen to, something to explore. So all of these links which you have access to will take you to resources that can give you more in-depth information about LUDIA, especially the LiveBinder resources really goes into great detail. We're kind of giving you a drive-by, and but we'll go deeper as we go with the series. But it's important to kind of take a step back and look at really how is this really designed, and I think that can be really helpful. Sometimes we just want to listen to something, UDL in 15 minutes, featuring the founders of LUDIA. That's a great podcast that Louis Lord Nelson did. And then something to explore. We have the SMORE resources that have been created for you, and how to register with POE, to start your own LUDIA account. So hopefully you were able to do that already. If not, you have time to do that, I hope. So taking this forward, this is our intentional close. And we're looking at the UDL guideline design options for building language and the consideration of maximizing transfer and generalization. So now we want to take this forward. So hopefully we can take a couple of minutes to fill in the blanks, but here's some sentence starters for us. One key insight I'm taking from today is this, a blank, and I will apply it maybe by a certain time or by a way of collaborating with someone else to help you do that. A situation where I can use what I learned today is blank, or I will share this learning with this person and by a certain time, possibly. These are just kind of suggestions to get you started, but we'd love to hear how you would complete these sentences starters. And I'll be looking at the chat. Situation where I can use what I learned is when I am lesson planning and I want to know if my lesson has UDL principles embedded before teaching students. That's great. And I see a lots of reactions to that. Yes. I think that's a simple approach to do because you do great things already. Nobody's saying you don't design in this way, but it's LUDIA is a thought partner, and that's the thing to remember. It's not to replace you. It's supposed to give you some suggestions or things to think about to further expand the lesson or the design. I will share this learning with my grade level team by tomorrow during our collaboration time. Perfect. And I'm going to share this with another TK teacher by Friday. Good. It'll be fun for you to explore. I've had a lot of fun with LUDIA. Good. All right.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing. I appreciate it. So our request is we've got 2 more weeks until our next session, and our request for all of you is just to try out LUDIA on your own between now and our next session, and pick any one prompt that sparks your interest, experiment, explore, and then maybe come ready with some questions, some discoveries, anything you want to share, because our next session is going to be really focused on utilizing LUDIA to analyze those DRDP reports because, again, you can upload, you can add all kinds of great things to it. So our next session will be on March 3rd, same time from 12 to 1, and we'll be focusing on analyzing those DRDP reports. And we look forward to seeing you guys all there as well. We really, really would encourage you to take a couple moments to fill out our feedback survey. This really, really helps us when it comes to planning our next sessions and figuring out what is helpful, what you'd like more of, less of, in all those things. And so that feedback in the chat as well. That feedback survey is linked in the chat for you. Thank you guys so very much. And we really, really encourage you to check out the Open Access website, subscribe to our newsletter as well. And again, all of our statewide system of support partners, all of our websites and everything are located on the home base document as well. And we look forward to seeing you on March 3rd. Thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone.